Marie-Louise von Franz had a razor, and she used it on the most beloved man in the room. Where there is sentimentality, she said, you should look closely. Brutality is usually standing right behind it. Her example was Hermann Göring, a man who could sign death sentences for 300 people with his morning coffee, and who wept when one of his pet birds died. Tenderness is the perfume of her eyes. This is the second video in a series on the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy, drawn from von Franz's Zürich lectures. The first video painted the portrait, the provisional life, the hovering man, the mother towering behind. You can watch this episode on its own, but the portrait deepens if you go back. The shadow of the Puer arrives exactly where he is most admired, in his warmth, enthusiasm, and in his love. And it shows itself, of all places, in his money. Stay for that. First, let me be fair to the Puer, as von Franz was. He's the kind of man whose presence works on a room like champagne. He asks the real questions at the dinner table, while everyone else discusses the traffic. He has read strange books. He is searching, honestly searching, for genuine meaning, for the thing behind the thing. Conventional situations bore him because he can feel their emptiness. Talking with him, you feel more alive. Women feel seen by him in a way that husbands and fathers usually can't offer. This is the Puer's gold, and it is real gold. Nearness to the unconscious and depth without effort. Like spring walking around in a human body. You may be listening for a man you know, a brother, an ex, a father, the friend who is always about to begin. Keep him in mind if you like. Leave a chair open for yourself as well. Archetypes do not ask for our permission to carry us, and all of us in one way or another are being carried by them. Von Franz watched the Puer pattern run its course in time. His enthusiasm is total. The new woman is the woman. She is lit from within by his attention, and his attention is enormous. Then intimacy arrives, and intimacy is always the same discovery. She is human. She has moods, needs, flaws. Then his fascination dies all at once. What dies with it is the image he unconsciously projected on her. The image was always his own, looking for an outer screen. What comes out in that moment, von Franz said, is ice. He lives with a coldness that has no human feeling in it at all. No gradual cooling, grief, or looking back. His warmth is already flowing towards the next projection. And the woman left behind is treated with a brutality that would shock anyone who saw his public tenderness. She used the name Jung used before for this rhythm, the Don Juan type. What drives it is the search for the goddess in a mortal woman. He finds her in each one briefly, and each one loses the crown the moment she becomes a person. It looks like two men, but von Franz saw one personality. The sentimentality and the ice are a single mechanism, and we will look at it later. Now the money. The Puer is too spiritual for a regular job. Ordinary employment belongs to the sleepwalkers, the ones who talk about traffic and politics. And yet, he must eat and pay rent, even in a provisional life. So the money arrives, in von Franz's phrase, with the left hand, behind his own back, borrowed and never returned, extracted from parents, from women, from admirers, in ways he manages never to look at directly. And she noticed, as an analyst, that if you ask him plainly about the money, you can expect an emotional explosion far out of proportion to the question. That explosion is a marker. It means you have put your finger on the shadow itself. A cold, calculating realist living in the basement of the most unworldly man you know, handling everything his spirituality is too delicate and pure to touch. So here is the reframe that makes sense of everything we've seen. The coldness is compensation. A consciousness that floats too high forces its own earthly weight underground. The realism it refuses to live, the self-interest it refuses to admit, the hardness every adult life requires. None of it disappears. It sinks. And in the dark it goes cold, infantile, and mean. And it acts from down there, with the left hand, in his sudden departures and in the money. His brutality is the unlived ground returning in a degraded form. Picture the people who have tried to reach him. The wife who pleads, the friend who confronts him, the analyst who names the pattern to his face. Every appeal slides off, because the coldness answers to a law of weight, and no argument weighs anything. This is why moral appeals change nothing. This coldness melts only where reality is voluntarily carried, a little at a time, in the daylight. There is a cure prescribed by Jung and von Franz, and it fits in one word. We'll delve into it later in the series. One story before we close. Von Franz told it about two young Americans. Two friends came to Europe for analysis and made a pact. One would take a year of Freudian analysis, the other a year of Jungian analysis, and then they would compare. A year later they met. The Freudian one declared himself cured. His mother complex was dissected, his illusions were named, and he was going home to earn money and find a wife. His friend, the one who had gone to the Jungians, had no such report. He still did not know where he would live. He was certain of one thing only, that he would write. By every ordinary measure, he was the failure of the two. Then the cured one said the sentence that ends the story. They have driven out my devils, and with them my angels. Sober, employable, and flat. Von Franz refused to call that a cure. Disillusionment dressed up as maturity is simply another way to lose the gold. The real question this whole series is circling is how to grow up with the angels still aboard. One more thing about the razor I opened with. Von Franz first drew it on a book. She was answering a question from her Zürich audience about the sentimental touch in The Little Prince. Her answer was the sentence you heard at the start. Where there is sentimentality, look closely. So everything we have tracked today, the charm, the eyes, the sentimentality, the money that arrives behind his own back, is already written into the most beloved children's book on earth. Its author lived every page of it. He died of it over the Mediterranean in the summer of 1944. Next week, episode 3 of the Puer series, The Little Prince, read as a warning. Until then, I leave you with a question. Where in your life does the ice come out?